Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unfiltered and United with me, Lynn. On episode 3, I'd like to say thank you to those who have watched episode 1 and 2. And yeah, this is a space where people don't have to be afraid to speak how they feel, what they think. And today's topic is something personal to me. We will be speaking about infertility, not the medical point of view, but the emotional side of things, the side people don't see or speak about. And today we have a very special guest with us, Jill Masters. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Firstly, I want to say I don't know you that long. I think we met when? Last year. Thank you, Salome, for through Salome we meet
Introducing us.
everybody. But from what I've learned and what I've seen so far or through your journey, I can say I'm really proud of what you've been through. You've been through a lot, and to sit here today and you are willing to speak about some of those journeys you went through. It's not easy. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to speak.
So today's topic is, like I said, infertility, the silent battle. People don't see the battles we as women face behind closed doors in those quiet times. It's easy to say when you're having a baby, it's your turn, and they think it's okay, but they don't know. If you're not going through it, you won't know what that person feels. So, Jill, I know you went through a journey like that. If you can just take us through that journey with us.
So I think it started for me. I was 3 months, married for 3 months when I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. I know the name has now changed to something else. I think it's PMOS now and not PCOS anymore. And that's basically where my journey started. And the news was very much, I went to the gynae and she said, oh, you've got PCOS, so you need to cut out this, that, and the other, or you'll never fall pregnant. You have to lose the 10 kgs, the 10 kgs was the almost like the magic weight number.
Yeah.
Every doctor that speaks to you says, oh, lose the 10 kgs and you'll get pregnant. And that is where my journey started. It was very much, if I think about it now, if I reflect on it now, it was a very haphazard approach. It was, we don't actually know how to deal with PCOS, so we just give you, drink folic, drink this, we put you on, what's that, diabetic medication, but anyway, then they put you on that medication, and all this different stuff that they basically gave me. I also went through ovarian drilling. I went through, and every time someone comes up with a new solution, they would be like, okay, we're going to try this now and it's going to work, And each time you rile yourself up and you have hope because you think, okay, this time it will work because it worked for someone else. And the journey was very much, try this, does it work, doesn't it work, try that. I was in hospital for a long time because of all the different hormones and things. And in the end, I think if I look from an emotional side, I always say I became functionally depressed. So I would be able to do my work, go to work, be out, everything, come home and cry and feel extremely sorry for myself. It also took me a long time to learn that two feelings can live together at the same time. You can be happy for your friends who are falling pregnant. You have the ability to celebrate with them, and at the same time you can be sad for you. And that was something that I had to make peace with because society sometimes excludes people who are struggling to fall pregnant, and they think that you can't be happy for them. Automatically it is, oh, she's been married for this long, she's unable to fall pregnant, or she's struggling, which means that she's going to be jealous of me, or I can't invite her to my baby shower, or I can't, you know. I think I'm running ahead of your questions.
It's fine. You know, and it's true what you say. People think, sometimes people think, or a lot of times, people think, it's just struggling to have a baby. But they forget that what they don't know is when we, as women who have these infertility issues, when we go home and we're behind closed doors, you know, we feel that emotion of disappointment. Every month you are disappointed by a negative test.
Correct.
You know, you hearing negative news in your waiting period every month they don't know that side of things, and that's why I think people needs to be considerate when it comes to these things. Yes, sometimes they do it not meaning it in a bad way, you know. And like you said, you one of the worst, not the worst feelings, the saddest feelings is when you celebrate with your friends. You are happy for them when it comes to baby showers, when it comes to gender revealings. But deep down, it really hurts you because you're thinking for you, it's like, I always say infertility is the worst part about infertility. You grieving a future that you don't have yet,
And you're grieving something that you might never have.
that you might never have.
Like people will always say, oh, it's just, I fell pregnant after this much time. I got the baby after that much time. And you don't know if it's going to be like that for you. And the first few years of my journey, I held on to those words. I held on to the, oh, if you do this, you're gonna, fall pregnant. And later on, you started thinking it's a problem with you.
Yes.
You just need to go on holiday. Just go on holiday, you'll see, you'll be relaxed. You're not relaxed enough. You're not this enough. You're not eating properly. You're not doing that. And actually, that's a whole lot of hogwash. And it adds a lot of pressure onto the person who's already going through something that is completely out of their control. Let me give you an example. There's someone I know who's also got PCOS. Every time she started her weight journey, sy kan net 'n kg verloor.
Yeah.
Hy raak sy pregnant. Now someone will say, oh, but you must just do what
Yeah.
my daughter did that, or my daughter-in-law just lost a little bit of weight, or they started drinking this thing, this mixture, this tea. The amount of money I spent on teas and mixtures and supplements and absolute craziness.
It is, and then through all of these struggles that we as women face who are having the issue of infertility, life still expects you to move on. As you need to move on. Tomorrow's another day, and people expect you to forget about how you felt yesterday.
You must package that part. You must put it away because it's not pretty enough for the world.
Yeah.
And the reality is, Lynn, and I think it's something that I speak about often, you do feel like there's a piece of you that's broken.
Yeah.
Because it feels like you can't do what you were built to do. Right? And it takes a long time to get to a point of acceptance. If we had to have this conversation, I don't know, 8 years ago or 9 years ago, I would not be able to have this conversation. The amount of tears I've cried, the going to church on a Mother's Day would be so painful because you're like, so what am I doing wrong? And we're all human, Jy kyk na die drug addicts en die whatever wat kinders kry, wat hulle nie eens kan afford nie. And there's a certain amount of anger that builds up in you because you're like, why is God being so unfair? You start questioning your relationship with God. And that is the reality. So yes, people want to soft soap it and put it in a nice little, neat little box and pack it away because it mustn't look too ugly.
Yeah. What are some of the questions people ask you hurt you the most?
I think the thing that hurt me the most was somebody said I'm jealous of someone else because she has the ability to get pregnant. And the person said it to my husband. And that hurt me the most. Because I knew it wasn't true. But no, you become the sum total of that. So people think if you at a baby shower and jou gesig lyk nou nie lekker nie, it must be because you are struggling. Even though it's maybe you had a bad night or you had a... People start putting you under a microscope because all of a sudden all your actions is because you are unable to fall pregnant. That is why you're treating this one like that, or that's why you're in a bad mood, or that's why, you know. Something also, as you know, we adopted, and adoption was always part of our plan, right? Before we got married, both my husband and I said we would like to adopt, but we had was our picture in our brain, like we were first going to have a biological child or two, and then adopt, and then, because that time I didn't know how expensive kids were, so I wanted a house full of children. Now I've got 2 kids, and I realize they are very expensive. It's enough. 2 is enough. But even when my first baby came home, some people still treated me as if I wasn't a mother. Even though my baby was 15 days when she came home. Both my babies were 15 days when they came home. I went through everything everyone else went through. I just did not breastfeed, and I just did not carry the baby. But everything else, and yet it still sometimes felt like a unspoken little club, and you're not part of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like infertility also feels like that.
Was there ever a feeling that, adoption was just an option to fill your void for infertility?
That is something I asked myself often before we adopted. But, and my answer to that is, if that is why you're going to adopt, then don't do it. Because your child deserves you to want them for who they are and not to heal your pain. I have a pain that my children can't heal, and my children have a pain that I can't heal, and love and pain can live together. It's not their job to fill that void. I am in a space in my life where I don't see it as a void anymore, because I'm content with the hand that life dealt me. I am happy with my kids, and now on this side of it, when I was going through the thick of things, and now on this side of that storm for me, I feel like it worked out the way it should. Ek en my man joke, I says, as also biological kind, hy kan self weer 'n groot kop gehad het, because kyk hoe lyk jou kop en kyk hoe lyk my kop, and we make jokes. It's stuff we couldn't laugh about years ago. You when you're in it, you think you're never gonna be able to laugh about it. So when I was diagnosed with cancer at the end of 2024, the doctor said something like, "Oh, we're going to give you medication that's going to put your ovaries off." I was like, "It's fine. They don't work in any case. It's okay. You can switch them off." And obviously she couldn't understand my humor about it. But I was like, "It's fine. They're off in any case."
And how has the infertility part of things affected your marriage?
My husband's view from the beginning, and I didn't want to accept it in the beginning. From the beginning it was, I married you for you, not your ability to have children. And I know that's not the same for everyone. I know that there are people who get divorced because of this. I know that there are people who lose their partners because of the inability to fall pregnant. I've been in a very fortunate space where my husband has been very supportive, and his view was always, I married you. The kids is a bonus. Kids are extra, but you are the person I chose. And I wish it was like that for everyone.
You know, and this is the first time I'm actually speaking about it. You know, I went through the very same thing. And I think I asked you the question earlier about what were some of the words that people said hurt you the most. You know, and there are a few things like, for me it was people saying, you know, when someone, a friend or a family member gives birth, fall pregnant, have the baby shower, whatever, they will always tell you, oh, you next, you better hurry up, or and you know that part of your biological clock.
Yes, all the time, your age,
You
your
know,
age,
and
your age.
sometimes what hurts the most is it's coming from people that knows exactly what you're going through. You know, those were one of the things. And then the one part that hurt the most was, you know, where your partner has to tell you that um, it's not my fault that we don't have kids. It's you, the one who cannot conceive. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, things like that. And there's a lot of
It's very
people
painful.
who's going through that, and they don't have that space where they can speak to anybody.
Yes.
Because how do you tell that to someone now? You don't
Yes.
want people to know what you're going through.
Exactly.
You know, like I said in the beginning, we only hear about the medical side of
Yes.
infertility. But who's there to hold your hand through the emotional side?
And I feel like the emotional side is 10 times more than the medical side.
Yeah.
I could drink all the tablets. I could do everything they asked me to do. But the emotional side of it, I always say my husband didn't know what to do, and I would cry so much that I couldn't stop myself from crying. I was so broken that I didn't even know how am I going to get to a point where I start feeling like me again. And I think that is the space that a lot of women sit in, and they have no one to talk to, because you feel like it's only you. You're the only person in this world who's going through it.
Was there a time in your journey where you isolated yourself from other women?
Yes. I started just staying away because I felt I didn't fit in. I couldn't speak about the same things I was speaking about. You know, isolation was one of the things for me. The other thing was obsession. I was obsessed with falling pregnant. I was obsessed with, I'm gonna get it right. You know, it's gonna work for me. And both of it was so unhealthy. If I think about it now, then you almost like you didn't know. I didn't know how to cope with it because nobody prepares you that you might be the person. Everybody speaks about it as if it only happens to people out there. The other thing people also love saying, and I used to hear it a lot, was that some people should just not have children. So when I was going through this, I was like, so what made me that person? What made me that person that should just not have children? And then in comparison to that, what makes the next person who's throwing their lives away?
Yeah.
What makes them? And you know what I had to realize, Lynn? I had to realize I'm not the judge and the jury. Ek kan nie besluit wie kry kinders en wie kry nie kinders nie. But I became an ugly version of myself emotionally at some point because I was so angry. And I think it was, you used the right word earlier, you said grief. It was the 5 stages of grief for me. And I've reached acceptance, but there was a time I was broken. There was a time I was in denial where I was like, nee man, this is not real, you know? And maybe it's just, you know, it's just something we're going through.
Yeah.
But it can't be infertility, you know? It can't be that, not me. And then there was a time I was just extremely angry. extremely angry at the world. I remember the one day I said to my husband, "It's okay, you can leave." I said, "You can find someone who's able to give you biological children." You know? And it was hard because it wasn't something between us that was wrong, it was just my inability, you know? And then the worst part, I think, for men is people make such terrible comments to men. And men make terrible comments to men. And we are far from the point where a husband can say, "Well, we're not falling pregnant because we are struggling." If as females we can't even have the conversation about infertility yet, the men, for me, is even further away from that.
You know, and one of the worst feelings for a woman that is struggling with infertility is you're always asking yourself, when is it my turn? When is it my turn to buy baby clothes? You know, and that is what people don't understand, is you are always, every month after a negative test, you are asking yourself that.
And every time you see that negative test, your whole world just spirals again. But like you said, then the next day you have to get up
And
You
move
have
on
to
as if
move
yesterday
on.
did not happen.
You have to go work. You have to go and celebrate with everyone. You have to be fine. And sometimes I asked myself, like, I asked God, what's the point? What is the point of all of this? You know? I couldn't understand why am I going through this? Why am I the one in the friends group? You know, we're both trying. Yeah, we are both going on something, but it's just not working.
What has kept you going through all of it?
You know, when I got my first baby, I said, I'll go through this again if it brings me to her. We didn't decide on adoption because of infertility. Like I said, adoption was always part of our plan because in my family there's a lot of cases of adoption, and it's always been normal, you know, for us. It's part of our family. And I always say, if I had to go through it again and I knew that Gemma was at the end of that road, then I would. With my first baby, I feel like she brought me a lot of healing. Not just in terms of, I don't even think in terms of infertility. I think she brought me healing in terms of that space of wanting to be a mother. You know, she made me a mommy. And my second child made me a lioness, because with my second child I was like, and now nobody's going to tell me how I must do this. It's not again like the first time around where, you know, people had to, where I wanted to feel like I'm good enough to be a mom, you know. The second time I was like, I trust myself now, I know what I'm doing. Obviously, while I was going through the journey, I didn't know that they were at the end of the journey for me. I had made peace with the fact that I might never be a mother. The thing that kept me going was probably my unhealthy habit to throw myself into doing everything that I like doing. Continued studying, continued keeping busy, continued doing stuff to not have to think about it. Because there are many women who do commit suicide because of infertility. And there's many women who start using drugs, who start falling down a rabbit hole because of these big feelings.
What have you learned through this whole process?
I think the biggest lesson for me up till this point is life works out the way it should. If he didn't stay, he wasn't meant to stay. If things happen the way they happen, then that is what is the best for you, even though it doesn't feel like the best. Feels like the most painful thing you can go through. If someone had to ask me a few years ago if this was the best for me, I would have said, hell no. Absolutely not. All I do is cry.
Yeah.
But now on the other side, I feel like it was the best possible outcome for me. We are all dealt a deck of cards in life.
Yeah.
And we don't know where it's going. But it always works out the best possible way for us.
You know, and I know I asked you the question, what carried you through? You know, and if I speak for myself as well, you know, I can say one thing that my faith has carried me through. You know, that we are always questioning God, why this, why that. You know, but the one thing that I would always say is, but God.
Yes.
You know, yes, why, but at the end I would always say, but God.
Yes.
Because I know through everything, every struggle, you know, somewhere inside of me, I always say, my story's not over. You know, there is a way forward, and there is definitely a way through.
Correct.
You know, and yes, you've adopted two beautiful children. How has that journey been of adoption for you?
So, with both of them, it was very different. Adoption is a very nuanced journey. I think there's a lot that's happening at the same time. Both my kids' adoptions were extremely different, but it was one of the most beautiful and scary things I've ever been through. To wait until all the paperwork is done, but just fetching both our babies, it was the happiest day ever for me. My husband also, he just fell in love immediately. And it's a weird concept because, there's no difference. There's no difference in feeling. There's no difference in, it's just your child. It's just your child, and that's that, Like I said, adoption comes with its own things. It comes with its own pains, and but in a country like South Africa, where we have so many kids who need homes, I wish more people would consider adoption, even if they have biological children. I'm not saying definitely don't use adoption as the key to, I don't have kids, so I'm just adopting for that. You must adopt because your heart and that is what you want to do. It's two very different things. The scrutiny you go through when you want to adopt, the paperwork, government, and all those things. I wish they would scrutinize biological parents more like that. Sometimes I would say, when I see kids being neglected, then I always say, government should get involved the way they do when you want to adopt, But it's been a very beautiful journey for us, and it's the thing that built my family. Through adoption, I got to experience being a mother, and I've got the two most beautiful children in the world, and I really think that God decides who your kids are going to be, and God decides how they're going to find you. You can have your own idea, like I had my own idea of my kids. But then God came and gave me the most perfect children that is mine. My husband always jokes and he says, he's never seen a boy love his mother as much as my son loves me. He's completely obsessed. But it's such a privilege for me to have these two little kids who love me so much and who I love so much.
With adoption, there's a lot of requirements and processes that needs to follow. Was there ever a time that you felt that, they can tell the adoption agency is going to tell you guys are unsuccessful? And how did that, that feeling, knowing that they might tell you that?
There's a 90-day period after your baby comes home where a biological mother can change her mind. That for me was the scariest. Because how do you tell your heart not to love a child for 90 days? You can't. You love that child from day number 1. It's my kind now. And that was like a period where you were waiting to exhale, like you couldn't breathe. You just wanted everything, and you wanted the best for your child. And like I say, some children's adoptions don't stem from, a mother signing off. In South Africa, we have very high abandonment rates. Very, very high. In our news, every week, we see children being abandoned in fields, in dirt bins, in wherever, and they die. So in South Africa, there's lots of factors that can influence an adoption. But my biggest fear was that they were going to take my children away. Not because of anything that we were doing, but just because you don't know what might happen. And I know there's a lot of people who are scared to adopt because of the 90 days. They are scared to adopt because what if someone wants to come back into the child's life? But that fear can't hold you. You don't know what the process is going to be like.
When did you start finding your voice? Infertility, not speaking about it can make you feel very lonely. Infertility itself is a very lonely process because it's something you as a woman is going through alone. When did you start finding your voice where you know what, I'm ready, I can speak about it?
I think we were probably going through it for about 5 years already. I think I had cried all the tears I could cry. Daar was toe nou niks meer wat enige iemand in my gesig kon gooi. But vir my meer kon seer maak. I reached a point where you can say what you want to say. You can do what you want to do. You can exclude me. You cannot sit next to me when you're pregnant because you're scared I've got something that's going to make you lose your baby. You can do whatever it is that you need to do. And I think it took me 5 years into it to be like, it's okay, I'm okay. And now I can speak about it. I had to first grieve, and I first had to go through all the emotions and all the anger and all the sadness, and then I could start speaking. And the reason I started speaking about it is because I felt that there's so many women who don't. And my hope is always, if I speak about it, it gives you the opportunity to speak about it. If I tell my story without shame, then you can tell your story without shame. Because there's actually no shame to carry when it comes to something that you have no control over.
And I think that is one of the things a lot of females are feeling. The reason why they're not speaking about these types of issues is because they feel ashamed. And if there is any woman who is listening to this now, who is silently fighting a battle of infertility, what do you have to say to them?
I always get asked this. I think that the most important part for me, if you're a woman that's fighting this in silence, is to not forget who you are.
Yeah.
You're not the sum total of your ability to produce children. There's so many different parts to you. You are more than just a mother or the ability to be a mother. The ability to conceive is but one part of you. Because I think when you are in this journey, it becomes all of you. You forget that you can laugh, that you can make jokes, that you can have fun, that you're a great friend, a good wife, that you're very good at your job and you're good at a lot of stuff. And then there's this one thing. And I would say hold on to all the other stuff. Because this one thing is such a big thing that it can overwhelm you and it can really take over your life. And if I had to summarize that, I would say remember who you are.
Yeah.
Don't lose yourself while fighting this thing. This thing is like a big silent beast that eats away at who you are and at your joy and your happiness and your ability to smile, because you just stop smiling. You just stop. It's just everything is just so painful. And I would say just remember who you are. Find the help. See that you get into therapy. Go speak to someone about it. If you can't speak to someone at home, then get somebody that you can speak to about it. Because as much as one who doesn't want this to take over your life, it becomes the thing that's on your mind all the time.
You know, and from my side as well, I think I can speak for both of us when I say that, you know, we do see you, and, you know, we know the pain you feel having to smile through all of the heartache, you know, and I just want to say that, you know, your life still has purpose. 100%. You know, you still whole, even in your waiting period. It might feel like, you know, a part of you has been ripped away because of your infertility, but know that there is a purpose, there's a plan for all of our lives. You know, we just need to pull through. So from my side, Lynn, thank you very much, Jill. It's been an honor to have you here. And like I said in the beginning, I'm very proud of the woman you've become. You know, you're one of those women who many can look up to, from where you've come from to where you are now. And I wish you all the best, to you, your family, your 2 beautiful kids. And yeah, everything of the best.
Thank you so much. And thank you for creating this platform. You have a lot of important conversations on this platform, and I guess that is why you call it Unfiltered.
Yes. And I think it's important that we need to, you know, because like I said, not a lot of people are having these conversations because people are feeling ashamed. Correct. People don't want to speak about it. People don't want to hear about it. And that is why I've created this place for anyone to come and speak unfiltered. You say what's on your heart, even if people don't want to hear.
And I had a lecturer that used to say, you change the world by having one conversation at a time, one room at a time. Because literally, if you're in a room with the right conversation, it can change the trajectory of your life. And I hope that this conversation is that for someone out there.
So I want to say to whoever is watching, you know, if you know of someone who is going through this, please share this video with them. There is hope for someone going through something else. So from my side, Lynn, thank you everybody, and I'll see you soon again. I'd like to say thank you to Natasha's Photography for the beautiful photos, and to Ashton for taking the video clips for us. So from my side, goodbye people. Have a good week. Stay safe and stay blessed. Any last words from you, Jill?
Just Have a good week. Goodbye.